Before we begin today's RR Show episode, I would love to ask for you to leave us a 5-star review wherever you are listening to this episode that is going to be all about annoying people. It's Vince, by the way. We've got Neighbors from Hell, and then we're going to dive into the whole wine scene and r/I don't work here ladies. So let's kick things off with one from user Electronic Walk 4001. Neighbor harassing me because I spilled laundry detergent 3 years ago. What should I do? Backstory. About 3 years ago, I, a 33-year-old female, moved into my current apartment in New York City with my husband, a 35-year-old male. Within the first couple of months, we were carrying big bags of laundry to the laundromat a few blocks away. And when we were in front of my neighbor's house, a 50-something-year-old female, about 2 doors down from us, the detergent fell out of my husband's bag. The container broke, and we spilled about 2 cups of liquid detergent on the sidewalk in front of our house. Our neighbor was sitting on her stoop when this happened, and we apologized profusely and started to help clean it up with our dirty towels. She seemed pretty mad and told us to stop and that she would get her hose out. She even started to rant a little bit about how the neighbors are out to get her, and she seemed just totally pissed. We were new in the neighborhood and didn't want her to be mad. So after we finished the laundry, we brought her some flowers from the corner deli and apologized again. Now, for the past 3 years, she's done some pretty crazy things. She will sometimes bang on the walls and windows of her house as we're walking by and start cackling and call us names. And she'll point and say, "That's who spilled the detergent," while pretending to be on the phone at the window. And she even filmed us with her phone as we're walking by our apartment. Now, I usually cross the street to just avoid walking right outside her place, but she seems to have caught on that I'm doing that, and it appears to be escalating. Tonight, I was walking home. I was on the opposite side of the street and went to cross in front of my building, and she started walking quickly towards me, pretending to be on the phone yelling, "Her boyfriend is the one who spilled that liquid detergent." I ran inside, closed the door as quickly as I could. She hasn't ever walked towards me like that before, and it made me feel pretty nervous. It is clear that she is probably mentally ill, so my instincts have been just to try to ignore or leave her alone. But it's also really starting to get to me. I love everything else about my apartment, my neighborhood. Is there a way just to alert the city or the police of this behavior just in case? I don't know if she's technically done anything illegal, just looking for some advice. Thank you in advance. Our next story today is posted by user Kipkey, and it's posted on the subreddit r/NeighborsFromHell. Karen called the police because I'm going out at weird times and slaps me. I'm referring to this post as if it were happening now, but actually it occurred a few years ago. The title sounds strange, but I don't really know how else to describe it. I was a 16-year-old from Serbia, and I live in the building next to my grandmother's. Unfortunately, my grandfather passed away 8 years ago, leaving my grandmother alone in her apartment. My parents, back then behind my back, saw one empty room and asked my grandmother if we could turn it into my private room because I needed privacy. My grandmother was thrilled with the idea. After discussing it with me, we made the room for me. Since I followed my grandmother's rules and helped her, I didn't spend all my time at her place. Instead, I switched between apartments as needed. For example, I'd come home from school, leave my things, go to my grandmother's to sleep, then return home in the morning to have breakfast. I had sort of a routine for when I went where, with an accuracy of plus or minus an hour. Now, I live in the entrance facing another building. If I go around it, the other entrance leads to my grandmother's apartment. Directly in front of my entrance is another entrance, and above it, on the window, 70% of the time when I went out, there was an elderly woman. She always looked at me somewhat grumpily as I passed by. Sometimes I glanced at her, but I had headphones on and wore a hoodie, so I just ignored her. When I had the second shift, I usually got home at about 8:20. Then I went to my grandmother's around 10:30, of course with exceptions. That woman was almost always there. But it didn't bother me because why would it? I saw her for 20 seconds a day. Once, when I was leaving my house to go to my grandmother's without headphones or a hoodie, she finally said something. "You're gonna get high again." Huh? Every day you go out with a hoodie over your head in the dead of night. It was 10:30 then. "I can clearly see what you're doing." What am I doing? Dealing drugs. What's in that backpack? That's none of your business, just laptop and equipment. "I think it's drugs. Open it and let me see." I felt like telling her the only thing I would open for her is a punch in the face. Leave me alone, and I just walked away. The next day, she was waiting for me outside the entrance. "What's in that bag? You're a psycho. If you don't tell me, I'll call the police." "Call whoever you want. I'm out here." I left while she was yelling at me. The next day, 2 police officers were waiting for me outside the door with Karen. "That's him. He's the local dealer." "What's going on?" "We received a report that local drug trafficking is happening here." Is this for real?" "As absurd as it may seem, we have to check it out." "Can you search me and just let me go then?" "We'll search you, but we won't let you go immediately because the lady said she saw you dealing." That woman is crazy, but do what you have to do. I just want to get this over with. They searched me while Karen was yelling about me being a dealer. How old are you?" 16. "Do you have an ID?" I literally went to the building next door. I don't even have a wallet. Can I go to my apartment and get it? I'll leave my backpack with the laptop as collateral that I'll return. "You live here?" "Yes." "I'll accompany you to the apartment, but won't enter." "Okay." When I returned to the apartment, my parents just asked what I had forgotten. I said, "Can I get my wallet? My ID is inside. I'd want to buy a juice." By the way, I really wanted to buy a juice for later. I returned to the police officer and my parents hadn't noticed anything yet. Not yet. We returned outside and I showed my ID, which was valid. There was nothing in the backpack, the kid didn't cause any trouble, and let's be real, just look at him. "I know he has drugs, I saw him," said Karen. "Where?" At this point, Karen made a mistake, pointing to the place under the cameras. "When?" Karen said the exact date. "Great, we can check the cameras," I said. Realizing her plan backfired, Karen did the only sensible thing. She slapped me. The police officer handcuffed her and put her in a car while Karen was screaming. A small detail about me. I have a lot of pimples. I know one person who has approximately as many pimples as I do, and that's it. When you slapped me, it bled because I barely felt the slap, which made it look worse than it actually was. One of the police officers went and informed my parents. They came out. My mom wiped away the blood while my dad talked to the police. He asked the officer if he could send me to wash up, and the police officer sent me. Karen was convicted of assaulting a minor and misusing the police. Since we managed to hush up the whole story from the neighbors, by some miracle, no one saw anything. Karen received a punishment and a stern warning. She wasn't in jail, but got a good enough warning that she hasn't said a word to me since then. But she is still in her usual spot, next to a window, just glaring. Posted by user Malbeckman under the subreddit r/I don't work here lady. I'm not the wine guy here. So, some context. I'm a wine steward and historian by trade. I run an international bottle shop and tasting room. I'm also hard of hearing, and I wear an over-the-ear hearing aid in my right ear that looks similar to a sport Bluetooth earbud. We recently made a commercial for the shop, which I am in. And it's a pretty good commercial, which plays on 8 cable channels in my area. and I occasionally get recognized by random people as a result. This will be important. About a month ago, I was in Albertsons. It's a chain grocery store and pharmacy, getting cat food and ingredients for dinner. As a general rule, I like to check their wine section out to make sure I don't carry anything that they do. As I was bent down looking at the lower shelves, I felt a hand on my shoulder. I assumed that this was someone alerting me to their presence and their intent to move in close. Personally, I have no problem with that. Parts of my shop are fairly close quarters, so it happens all the time, no big deal. Then I felt the hand again, but this time it was more deliberate. I took this as a sign that this person is just tactless, and I shuffled left a bit. Then I felt a rather aggressive tap on my hearing aid, which popped a bit and scared me. So I jumped out and turned my face to my antagonist. Who was this rude and annoying person? A short, beach blonde, 30-something-year-old woman wearing an outfit that definitely costs more than I pay in rent. If her name isn't Tiffany, then it absolutely should be, and that's how I will refer to her going forward. And her voice. You know that SNL sketch where Pedro Pascal comes out of a coma and speaks like a valley girl on muscle relaxers? Imagine that, but without the eloquence and sophistication. Tiffany. Excuse me. Me. Yes? Where can I find the Josh Rosé? It's a $10 bottle of absolute crap. I'm not sure, I don't work here. But I saw you on TV, you're the wine guy. Yeah, that's me, but I actually don't know much about the layout of this store. It's a lot different than mine, I'm sorry. You should at least know where the rosé is. We were standing about 15 feet from the rosé section, so I pointed to it. Given her height difference, I'm guessing that she just couldn't see it over the rack that we were facing. She sneered at me. Was that so hard? If eye rolls were audible, mine could have been heard in Australia. I shrugged. They better have Josh Rosé. And she was off. I decided to get while the getting was good, as we say around here, so I continued my shopping. I gathered what I needed for my spaghetti, which took about 15 minutes. As I walked towards the front of the store checkout, I heard a familiar voice. They don't have Josh Rosé. You said they'd have Josh Rosé. Me. I pointed you towards the rosé section. I never said they have anything. Perhaps you might find my friend Ray, the wine steward here, and make arrangements for him to bring it in. This is totally a thing that he can do. I'll do that. Where is he? I have no idea. Again, I don't work here. Wow, you're useless. Some wine steward you are. I don't actually sell any of this, so I can't tell you much beyond the label and a general description of the geography and climate of the area that it's produced in. Who actually cares about that? You'd be surprised. You should come in and check out the shop sometime. I'll show you and tell you anything you want. Oh, like I'm ever gonna go to your shop? I'll go to wine shop 40 minutes away and get it there. Now, I could have done a lot in this situation. I could have told her that they don't carry it either. I also could have told her that they carried it Safeway, about a half mile up the road. I didn't do either of those things. I wished her a happy holidays, walked to the register, and that was that. Until the next morning. Apparently, Tiffany had called the shop and left a voicemail describing my terrible service and poor attitude. Naturally, my boss asked me about it, so I regaled her with the story. We had a good laugh about it, and once again, that was that. Until 2 days later. I got a text from Ray asking why a crazy lady said, "The wine guy told me to find you." Apparently, Tiffany had come back and accosted him, claiming that I told her to. I once again recounted the tale, and we all had a good laugh about it, and then moved on. Once again, that was that. Until the very next day. My boss came to my desk and said, "I think that crazy lady gave us a bad Yelp review." Cue another audible eye roll. The review was scathing and entirely about my conduct at Albertsons. That would have been a good laugh, except that even as unhinged as it was, it still hurt our overall rating. Our office manager was able to contact Yelp and explain the situation, and the review was removed. Tiffany stayed true to her word though. I've never seen her again, although her name has turned into a running joke whenever we have a customer with her disposition. And that, dear reader, is that. So thanks for being with us. The RR Show is a production of Evergreen Podcasts and Wessler Media. Now, if you'd be so kind, please follow or subscribe to our show wherever you get your podcasts. And if you're feeling extra nice, you might as well leave a 5-star review. But for more, visit the website, rrshow.com. That is rrshow.com. I'm your host, Vince. Thank you to my producer, Kevin, and we'll see you next time here on The RR Show.